We have a quick revision video for Class 7 on human nutrition and digestion. Now, this is not a substitute for your book. This is only a quick revision, a last-minute revision video. First of all, we are covering only human nutrition and digestion. And secondly, we are not covering all the points. We are covering important concepts as regards human nutrition and digestion for CBSE Class 7. So this should be treated as a quick revision or last-minute revision. This is what we have. The meaning of digestion has been diagrammatically explained here. How the complex molecule will break into simpler molecules. This is what we mean by digestion. Breaking a complex chain of molecules into simpler, soluble, individual molecules. So enzymatic, using certain chemicals called enzymes, when you break a complex molecule into smaller and simpler molecules, this is what is digestion. And here we have the human digestive system, but we will be examining it in greater details in the next slide. Now, first of all, nutrition is the process of obtaining food and its utilization by the body. Nutrition is the process of obtaining food and its utilization by the body. And now this definition is true for both plants and animals. Although we are dealing with human nutrition, but this definition is correct for both plants and animals. Now, in animals or in human being, nutrition has 5 stages. The 5 stages, that's the complete nutrition, can be divided into 5 steps. First is called ingestion. Ingestion is taking of food into the body. We may take solid food, we may bite and chew and swallow, we may absorb liquid food. Some animals are there which absorb only liquid food. Some parasites absorb liquid food through the surface of the body. So how food enters the body is ingestion. For human being, we can say eating is ingestion. What you eat is, or what you drink, of course, is ingestion. Digestion, as we showed in the diagram previously, breaking down of complex food to simpler substances. A complex food we eat, an apple, bread, meat, complex substances are broken down into simple and soluble substances. Absorption. After digestion, the digested nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. They pass into the bloodstream from where they are carried to different cells. Assimilation. Whatever is absorbed, it should be carried to different parts of the body and then utilized either for energy or for bodybuilding or for some other purpose. Utilization of the absorbed food. Lastly, egestion, the undigested waste or undigested residue is expelled out of the body. Whatever could not be digested, whatever remains as waste or residue that has to be expelled, that is egestion. So nutrition, we have 5 stages. Ingestion, taking in of food into the body, and in human case, it is eating or drinking. Digestion, the breaking down of complex food into simpler substances. Absorption, digested nutrients pass into the bloodstream. Assimilation, where the nutrients that pass into the bloodstream are utilized for various life processes. And egestion, where the undigested residue or waste is eliminated out of the body. In human, the digestive system consists of 1. A long tube called alimentary canal or digestive tract, or also called gastrointestinal tract, GI tract. The same tube from mouth to anus is called alimentary canal, digestive tract, or gastrointestinal tract. And associated digestive glands, these glands produce chemicals which help in digestion. Now, some of the glands are within the inner wall of the stomach and intestine. The inner wall of the stomach and the inner wall of the intestine, there are some glands. And there are external glands outside the digestive tract, like salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. So here we have the digestive tube forming a continuous tube from mouth to anus, and in stomach and intestine, certain glands are there. And outside the alimentary canal, we have the liver, we have the pancreas, and we have the salivary glands. Several pairs, the individual names are not important, but salivary glands in mouth, and the liver, and also the pancreas. The alimentary canal, some of the important points from the examination point of view. The starting point is mouth. The ending point is anus. The widest part of the alimentary canal is stomach, and the longest part is a small intestine. Some short, very important questions in regard to alimentary canal. Starts from mouth, ends in anus. The widest part is stomach, and the largest, or the longest, sorry, not largest, the longest part, the longest tubular part is small intestine. The route of food as it passes through the digestive tract would be mouth, then mouth cavity, also called buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. This is the route of the food. Mouth cavity, also called buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. That is the different regions of the alimentary canal. Food in mouth cavity. The mouth cavity, as we said before, is also called buccal cavity. The mouth cavity is also called buccal cavity. Food is broken, cut, chewed, and ground. You're grinding the food, chewing the food, cutting the food with the help of teeth. This cutting, grinding, and chewing is called mastication. So food is masticated by teeth. Second, food is mixed with saliva produced by salivary glands in the mouth or mouth cavity. Food is tasted with the help of taste buds on tongue. And finally, food is swallowed, and from buccal cavity, it passes to esophagus. Now here we have the complete dentition. This is the upper jaw, and this is the lower jaw. You can see that the upper jaw and lower jaw are symmetrical or identical. And each jaw can be divided into left half and right half. You can also divide each jaw into left half and right half. So if you divide into left half and right half, they are also symmetrical. So if we study this part, one half, the left or right part of one of the jaws, that will be 1/4 of the total dentition. Now, there are 4 kinds of teeth. Incisor is for biting and cutting. Canine is for tearing flesh. It's absent in herbivorous animals like cows and goats. It's for tearing flesh. Premolar and molar are for chewing and grinding. Incisor for biting and cutting. Canine for tearing flesh. Premolar and molar for grinding and chewing. And molar would be absent in milk teeth. the first set of teeth, the temporary set, it is absent in milk teeth. Now the number of teeth. Incisor, 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 means 2 on the left side, 2 on the right side in each jaw. What we are talking about is each jaw. So the same thing would be in upper jaw, the same thing would be in lower jaw. So actually it would be 4 in the upper jaw, 2 on each left side and 2 on right side, and 4 in the upper jaw, 4 in the lower jaw. Canine, 1 plus 1. That means 1 on each side, 2 in the upper jaw and 2 in the lower jaw. Premolars, 2 plus 2. 2 on the left, 2 on the right, on each jaw, and molars, 3 plus 3. And the total number you can get, if you add all this, will be 16 in upper jaw and 16 in lower jaw, making 32 teeth. That is adult dentition. For children, that is in the temporary set or milk set, omit the molar. Only omit the molar. Keep all the thing as it is and you'll get 20. The total teeth you'll be getting will be 20. Now, the work of tongue. Tongue helps in speech. It helps you to speak, pronunciation, articulation. It helps to detect taste, the fundamental taste, sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. It helps to move food and mix food and saliva. The saliva produced by salivary gland, it is thoroughly mixed with food using tongue. And it helps to swallow. So the function of the tongue is helping to speak. You can taste your food. You can mix the food with saliva and you can swallow it. Now, in the tongue, this is what is called the taste bud mapping. We have got bitter at the back of the tongue, sweet at the tip of the tongue, and then sour and salty at the sides. Sour and salty at the sides, sweet at the tip of the tongue, and bitter at the back of the tongue. Now, many modern scientists do not agree with this map. What we have done, the tongue mapping, where you get the sweet taste, where you get the bitter taste. Many of the modern scientists do not agree with this, but we have given it as it is given in your book. Now, digestion in mouth. Saliva from salivary gland. We have already shown the mouth cavity contains salivary glands. Salivary glands produce saliva. They break down starch into simple sugars. This is a complex molecule of starch broken into several molecules of simple sugar. So, complex starch is broken into simple sugars by saliva from salivary gland in the mouth cavity. So, that is the first starting of digestion, breaking down of starch in mouth cavity with saliva. Next, in esophagus. Food swallowed passes through the short esophagus into the stomach. In fact, the esophagus could be regarded as a very short and straight tube. Food is pushed down the esophagus by a wave-like motion called peristalsis. You can see here. What is peristalsis? The food is here and the tube is constricted here. So, it cannot go up. The moment it is pushed down, the wave will travel downwards. Again, the food cannot move up. Again, it is pushed downwards, and the constriction at every stage prevents food from going up. So, as the wave progresses, the food will be moved downwards. This wave-like motion is called peristalsis. No digestive no digestive juice is produced. No digestive fluid is produced in the esophagus. So, in esophagus, there is no digestive enzyme secreted. But the digestion which started in the mouth will continue with the help of saliva, but the esophagus does not produce any digestive juice or any digestive fluid. Now in stomach, first of all about stomach, we have already seen that stomach is the widest part of the alimentary canal. Now it is a thick muscular J-shaped sac. You can see there's the shape, the J-shaped, you can see that there's the J-shaped, a thick muscular J-shaped sac joined to the esophagus at the top. From here the esophagus will come and joined to the intestine at the bottom. So at one end you have got the esophagus joining, here there's the esophagus, and here you have got the intestine joining. In both the places there are valves which will allow food to move only downwards. Now the stomach, inside the wall of the stomach we have glands. It produces first is hydrochloric acid. The work of the hydrochloric acid is to kill bacteria and make the medium acidic. Then we have got a mucus, a slippery substance called mucus. This is to protect the stomach wall from the acid. And we have the gastric juice, which will actually break down protein. The protein is broken down into simpler forms. So we have about the stomach. Again, let us recapitulate. There is the widest part of the alimentary canal. It is thick-walled and J-shaped sac. There are three kinds of glands on the inner wall of the stomach. One to produce HCl acid, hydrochloric acid. Number two to produce digestive juice to break proteins. And number three to produce mucus to protect the walls of the stomach. Next we come to small intestine. The largest and most highly coiled part of the alimentary canal, that's small intestine. The longest part and the most highly coiled. It's narrow, it's not wide like your stomach, but it is the longest part. Subdivision of the small intestine are there, but that is not in the syllabus. Now we will only consider the upper part and lower part of the small intestine. Now in the upper part of the small intestine, we get bile from the liver and gallbladder. We get digestive juice from pancreas. Now, this is the liver, this is the gallbladder, and this is the pancreas. This is the pancreas, this is the pancreas in the loop of the small intestine. The liver will produce bile and the gallbladder will store bile. Gallbladder does not produce. The liver produces bile, gallbladder stores bile. Both of them will come to the stomach, and pancreas will also produce chemicals to help in digestion. So we have pancreas and liver and the gallbladder. Gallbladder is only a storage. Liver producing bile and the pancreas producing the pancreatic juice, both of which will come to the upper part of the small intestine for digestion. Next, in small intestine, now we are coming to the lower part, the second part, the lower part of small intestine. Intestinal juice is produced by glands in the walls of the intestine. Now this is not from outside like liver or gallbladder, but intestinal enzymes produced from glands which are in the inner walls of the small intestine. In the lower part of the small intestine, they help in digestion of carbohydrate, proteins, and fats. And this is the completion of digestion. The digestion is completed in the lower part of the small intestine, where you get the intestinal juice produced by glands which are in the inner walls of the stomach. Now, what are the end products? Digestion is complete. Now, what do we get after digestion? Carbohydrate is changed to simple sugar, proteins to amino acids, and fats to fatty acids and glycerol. Carbohydrate changed to simple sugar, protein to amino acid and fat to fatty acid and glycerol. The sugars like glucose, they produce energy for activities. Proteins produce amino acid, which help in growth, repair, and bodybuilding. And fats, which break into fatty acid and glycerol, that is a reserve food stored for future use. Now, next, after digestion is complete, first we had ingestion, that is the first step. Now digestion, second step, and now digestion is complete. The third step, absorption. In absorption, what happens? The inner wall of small intestine has finger-like projections. You can say finger-like outgrowths or finger-like projections. These are called villi. The singular would be villus, V-I-L-L-U-S, the plural villi. Finger-like projections on the inner wall, they are called villi. Villi have rich blood supply. You can see arteries, red in color, veins, blue in color. Here also arteries and veins, red and blue in color. They have rich blood supply. Nutrients pass from the small intestine into the blood. Nutrients, now it is already digested. Digestion is finished. So the digested nutrients pass from small intestine into the bloodstream through the villi. Now, what is the work of villi? What is the actual work of villi? Villi increase the surface area for absorption in much the same way as root hair increase the surface area for absorption. So thin, small, numerous, thousands and thousands of villi, which are supplied by arteries, veins, and capillaries. The digested food will pass to the bloodstream, and that is what is absorption. Passing of digested food from the intestine into the bloodstream. And they will be carried to different cells where they will be utilized, that is assimilation. Large intestine. After small intestine, we have got large intestine. Large intestine is shorter, wider, and not coiled. Water and some salts are absorbed here. Digestion is already complete. The nutrients are absorbed. So water and some salts are absorbed in the large intestine. The remaining waste, the residue, is a semi-fluid fecus or stool, which is stored in the rectum and removed through the opening called the anus. So after the water is absorbed, the semi-fluid residue or waste product will be stored in the rectum and removed through the anus. Now here we have this, how it is removed through the anus and stored in the rectum. Now here we have the comparison of small intestine and large intestine. Small intestine is very long, 6, 7 or even 7.5 meters long. Large intestine is short. Small intestine is very narrow. Large intestine is wider than small intestine. This is highly coiled and this is not coiled. We have straight but bent. First it going up and going down, but it is straight. It has villi, small intestine, and large intestine, no villi. Small intestine absorbs food or nutrients. Large intestine absorbs water. So that's a comparison. Next, work of different, that is summary, work of different regions of the alimentary system or the alimentary canal. Mouth cavity, that is to masticate the food, bite and chew, swallow and break starch using the saliva or salivary gland. Saliva from the salivary gland, breaking the starch, then masticating the food and swallowing. Esophagus, the food is pushed downwards into the stomach. From the mouth after swallowing, esophagus will create the wave-like motion or peristalsis to make the food enter into stomach. Stomach, it will digest proteins, kill the bacteria using the hydrochloric acid. Small intestine will complete digestion. Part of the digestion occurred in mouth and then in stomach. In small intestine, it will complete the digestion and absorb the nutrients. Large intestine absorbs water and some salts, mainly absorption of water and salt. Rectum, it stores the undigested waste or residue. And anus is to expel the waste or residue. So that was our brief review, a pre-exam revision, a last-minute revision of the human digestive system. Thank you and goodbye.